All right, guys, we got another video for the CD5 Accord. I actually got two videos coming out for these, but this one is going to be the first one. Told you guys we were going to be lowering this thing, and we finally got they came in on the 24th. Obviously, 25th was Christmas. Today is the 26th, so we are back in the shop, fully ready for customer stuff and whatnot. We got Bertha back here chilling. We're going to get that thing plugged in. We got a customer truck outside we're waiting on parts for, and we got one up on the hill that parts should be here for tomorrow. But we got lowering springs. Now, I'm going to do a time lapse, get everything pulled out, show you guys kind of what we're working with, and I want to go over why we're going with lowering springs, and I got brand new shocks instead of going the coilover route. Now, I was actually offered a sponsorship for the coilovers, and I did not take them. Funny enough, this was after I had already ordered the lowering springs. But the reason I'm not going with coilovers is because it's a lot of setup and it's not something I'm interested in. I just want a car that I put the springs in and the suspension is set where it's at. Now we might do some aftermarket control arms and a couple other little odds and ends in the rear down the road. But for now, this is something that I can just install these things and the car will sit where it sits. It's not like I gotta sit here and be like, oh, now I need to go a half inch higher, a half inch low. No, I saw where they were dropping. It was, I think, like a 1.8 or 1.9 in the front and a 2.1 in the back, something like that. So like right around a 2-inch drop for the entire car, and we're gonna be doing that. And new shocks, I think it should ride nice because unfortunately, I don't know if you'll be able to hear them, but these shocks are definitely on their last life. So it's like, you might as well just do it. Now, like I said, we had the chance to take some free coilovers. I did not take it. All right, so lately I have been one of those people that genuinely does not enjoy doing, I don't enjoy installs on my own vehicles. Now, the reason why is mainly because I hate knowing that my vehicle is down, I can't get in it whenever I want and just go drive away. I prefer doing customer stuff, so if a customer came in and said, hey, install these, I like peace of mind knowing that my vehicles, I can just get in and drive them, and unfortunately, anytime you're doing installs on something, that's not the case. You're gonna pull one side and that means I can't drive this thing until all four are done. So that's just how I feel about it. I always enjoy the end result. It's same thing came down to like anytime I was installing stuff on this, like the bumper, we did the whole front end, converted this thing to black and built out this entire skid back here. You guys see that? This whole skid goes the whole way up to the front, comes down in there, bolts up there, and holds the welder up into place. And I'll tell you what, figuring that out and doing it for my own vehicle, I hated it. If I were to do that again for a customer, I love doing that shit because my truck isn't physically down. I love the end result. That's just unfortunately who I've been lately. So this thing should not be super difficult. You know, I gave her a blanket and she still prefers to lay on the seat. But yeah, so let's get this thing up in the air and start figuring out which one's which. I actually don't remember which one's which, so I think we're gonna tackle the rear first and then shoot to the front. That way this thing kind of, tooted a little bit, but now we're gonna do all of it. And then this is a 2 3/8 inch exhaust, and I got 2.5 inch outside diameter tubing. These little glass packs here, whatever these are, made by Power. So these will be installed. Don't worry, we have more shit coming for the Accord. I did get the P28 ECU chipped with a base map tune to get rid of the check engine light because of the deleted EGR, and I found out that it also gets rid of all of that charcoal canister bullshit back there. So we can delete all of that. Unfortunately, when you do the P28 ECU, this thing will never, ever, ever pass emissions again. So I'm going to keep everything in hopes that next year I can put the stock ECU back in it, even though it might, I don't know if it'll have a turbo by that point. I'm hoping to have the turbo done within the next 6 months. But we'll see. I just need it to pass inspection because I do have emissions in my county, unfortunately. So unless I move back to Perry County, we're stuck in Carlisle. So I need this thing to pass inspection, so I'm going to keep everything that I take out, including the block-off plate on the EGR. I'll have to take that off just to get it through to pass, and then you have to drive it for like 200 miles, something like that. So it does get a little ridiculous. This thing's going to get moved to the back. I'm not sure if we're going to run the intercooler piping down through here or if we're going to go where the battery's at. I'm not sure yet. But getting ahead of myself, point is, those parts are on order for the ECU. So let's start installing these things. Alright, so all that effort just to get one 17mm nut off. Now we gotta come back in here, remove these guys, which I don't even know why we have this thing. But don't get me wrong, guys, this trunk is not gonna get gutted. I know a lot of guys like to gut these cars. My goal with this thing is to be as comfortable as possible. We're gonna be redoing a floor in here out of wood, so the subwoofer can sit back, which, like I said, we have it over there. And a lot more sound deadening and insulation, so we're probably going to utilize a lot of this down here. And then the battery we're probably going to have sit like right over here. This, I don't know if I can get that thing out. I wonder if somebody just like squeezed that in there. It looks like they did, so I'm going to unsqueeze that, get that out. We got to remove all of this to be able to get the nuts off the shock tower. But it's literally just one bolt at the bottom, tube nuts at the top, and this thing drops out. Kind of why I wanted to do the back first, so that's where we're at. These things are pretty rusty crusty, so I'm assuming that these are rears, so we will set them aside. So any of the fronts, we can put them on the bottom. I'm not worried about that. So the fronts, we'll put them on the bottom. The other reason I bought shocks and not coilovers, this is a very minor reason, but most of the coilovers don't come with those two brackets, and if you modify them, you void your warranty. So that's another reason I wanted for the front to actually have those, so that we can actually mount the brake lines. There should be these two different part numbers. These actually are the same part number, which is weird. I don't know if they should be or if it's just they go a specific way, but we got to remember that the bottom, assuming this goes up, I could be wrong, don't yell at me in the comments yet, but this is gonna sit pretty much just like that. I don't know if it's, I don't know, I'm gonna look up some pictures to make sure I'm right, because I don't want to install these wrong and have to pull this whole thing back out. All right, guys, I am 100% restarted because the bolts are actually back there. I didn't have to do any of that shit. So I guess I'm going to take the next, couple minutes to throw all this back together. I could have sworn that it was back there, but I was wrong. We all make mistakes, guys. We all make mistakes. All right, so we got one nut and then back in there. The second nut down in there. So now we should just be able to pull that out. Should be able to. Yeah, drop that down. All right, so I got it out. Just take the e-brake cable off, not off, but like unbolt it, and it slides right out. So now I'm gonna get this off. I have a spring compressor. I think we're just gonna send it and see what happens. Let this fucker zoom. I'm not worried about it. I need the top hat though. The rest of this can go in the scrap bin. So the top part was seized, so I had to get the actual head in there, so I did end up using my spring compressor. So there's where we're at. There's the bump stop and all that shit. I don't know. Actually, you know what? I might uninstall it and, well, actually, I don't. Does that come out? Let's find out if that comes out. Because that would be pretty sweet if we can reuse that bump stop. I did figure out the direction these do go to the top. Oh, it does come off. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm going to take that back apart and put that bump stop in there, because definitely. All right, so we got everything changed over, and then I took a big ass breaker bar. Instead of trying to grind everything away, I just kind of broke it free, because we're not reusing this. We'll throw that in our scrap truck up here. And then the nut is right here. So gotta get that out. Came right out. Once that was here, just take a couple tappy taps, comes right out. So now we can put that there. Yeah, I could weld the nut on there. I'm not gonna do that because eventually these things are gonna blow, and unless this car gets in a crash, I don't plan on really selling this thing. Let's get this thing installed, and it should go right in, pending I got all my measurements correct. That piece, we might be slightly off right here, but up here, I know we're locked where we need to be, so this probably needs to twist a smidge to get that lined in there, but let's see. All right, there's the first side, and that was way more of a pain in the ass than it needed to be. The next side should take me about 20 minutes, so not too bad, but we got a spring in there and new shocks. Should be a lot lower now. There is no pressure. Like, you don't have to use a spring compressor like you do on that one. All right, so here's your heights. You see a little bit shorter. This one should have a better rate to it than stock, like stiffer, but we'll see when we get in there. I'm gonna get this wheel on, and then we're done on this side. Alright, so these piece of shit dust shields aside, if you don't want to fuck that up, which mine's already missing, like that tab, like this thing's just chilling here, right? Take those upper bolts out, this thing will pull out of the way, and you can get it out a lot nicer, which is what I did on the other side. But this side, don't care. So, spring compressor on this, gonna move this all to the other side. So I have found that it actually works going back behind as long as you loosen the e-brake cable. And then I'm gonna stick a screwdriver in the backside to kind of bring it up a little bit so I can get that bolt in there, but I can't do it with can't do that with one hand. So I'm gonna do this quick, and then this side is done. All right, so that side was absolutely hard. Forgot the jack stand that I threw on the other side for no reason, just to make it look like I had a jack stand. Okay, now, let's see how low it gets. Take it out at first so the front wheels can roll. There we go. And drop her down the rest of the way. Wow, that didn't lower it at all. Hold on a second. Let's get some. Oh, there we go. There we go. That's a little bit lower. Let's release the back brakes. Bounce it a couple of times. That's what I'm gonna do. I'll try to get a before shot, but there's the rear. Like I said, we're not going super low with it, but I can tell it got lower. Once we drive it, bounce it a little bit. The back's definitely lower than the front, so now we gotta get the front up, and that was absolutely hard. I'm not looking forward to doing this. So I should have been filming it because once I knocked that thing off, that thing went flying, shit went everywhere. It was great. And I shut the camera off just before that. This thing was under my tire. But there you go. We got this one on. This one was a little bit tricky. I did have to grab it with the vice grips down here and pull it in a little bit. But once we got that, it was fine. So we're gonna throw this thing back up in there. We wanna put this piece in first, tighten that down, and then this piece here, probably, I don't know. If I was in the mood, I'd probably clean that up a little bit, but I'm probably just gonna throw it in just like that, because it's not like, not building a show car or anything like that, but I don't know. For now, this is where we're at. This is the spring we got, and we can do the same on the other side. Now, I might have gone a little bit overkill on what we took apart down here. I pulled the axle out. I pulled the upper control arm pieces out. And with those lines, we got the ABS line and then up here. So everything, I try to keep everything as organized as possible. I know these 5 nuts and this 1 bolt go up here. And then anything else has its own little jug. We got the lug nuts. We got these guys here. We got this for the bottom shock. And then we got the axle nut itself. So keep everything organized and these jobs will be so much easier. The back was definitely a pain in the ass. The front is actually not proving to be that difficult. So I'm glad we got the hard one out of the way. Anything to do with interior, I always try to get that out of the way first because I don't like interior. Slap this up in and then we can go to the other side. We'll see how low this side gets and then do the same on the other side. And then probably in the next couple weeks, we're gonna get this thing. All right, so we got this side in. This one wasn't too bad. Everything's back on it. This one, like, once I showed you guys the spring, it took me like 5 minutes. So there you go. Let's throw the other side. All right, real quick, let's see how this side looks. Waiting for Doggo to go potty. Oh, okay. All right, that's lower. I think that actually worked out. I think a 2-inch drop was perfect. I don't like that noise. That's lower. It looks good. It's not tucked. It's not like what I would have wanted back in the day. Because if I had coilovers, 100% I'd be dropping this like 2 more inches. So I like that. So I've just been fucking around and this one ended all the way at the other end of the shop. So I need that. Good thing I got it. All right, I was hoping to get the exhaust done today too, but it's not gonna happen. This thing's definitely lower, but we're not going hatefully low. My Prelude, these things would drag on the ground. So we were about another 2 inches lower. I think I did a total of like a 5-inch drop on that. But let's get this thing outside. She's getting antsy. Let's push this thing outside and see what she looks like in the daylight. Had to wash my hands. We're gonna go to Walmart. Give her a trip, see how it rides. That's one thing I like about Hondas. They're like fucking sport bikes. You can just fucking push them through the parking lot. Watch this. Bam. What? She literally just jumped out the window. Oh my God. Yeah, it looks a lot lower. We need a front lip. We need a grill. And actually, between those two, this thing might actually look good for a while. All right, there you go. It's very, very subtle, but it's lower, and I like it. The front is slightly no, not touching, but like, you know what I mean? Like, we got about, let's go over here and you can fit about 2 fingers there. Fit about 4 fingers here, so we need to come down a little bit in the back, but I think it'll even itself out. Check that front, make sure they're all even. That was one reason that I went with the springs. Actually, that was the main reason I went with the springs, is I want everything to just do what it needs to. And then we're gonna get the alignment front and rear, that way there's no camber whatsoever, because I do think we're cambering out a little bit. but she's looking good. Stay around. We're gonna get rid of all the labeling on the back and make the fart can sound a lot better. Lower, I should say. I didn't want to, like I said, I didn't want to fucking slam it. This is still a daily driver. So a little bit of weight from the subwoofers will also bring the back down. If you guys are wondering where this dent came from, Josh still has to fix this. Josh did that trying to deadlift the car, and I told him not to, and he did it anyway. So we are gonna go to Walmart. We're gonna do a test drive on the highway. Ignore the check engine light. Like I was saying, that is from the EGR delete. That is the only reason it's on. If I take the block off plate out, it goes away. But tuned ECU will take care of that. So let's go do a test drive and see how she rides. Puppy dog's gonna get in the way, but it's okay. Pretty much, I just want to make sure that I can go over normal bumps like I used to be able to. And here is the first obstacle, these big speed bumps. Do we scrape? We do not scrape, so that means I didn't lower it as, you know, harsh as I used to, because I would have totally scraped the shit out of these. The goal is function and form. Oh. Now we're gonna test those at like, I don't know, 50 mile an hour and see if we still scrape. Also, I got the question about the VTEC. And honestly, on camera, you guys aren't gonna notice it. And with the exhaust, you actually notice it less. But at about 2450 RPMs, there'll be a changeover, which picture yourself giving it 50% throttle, and then when VTEC kicks in or engages, it's basically like just adding another 10% to the throttle. So if you're floored, instead of 100%, you'll be 110%. It's minor, but it is there. It's like an extra 5 or 10% of the pedal. Like if I'm sitting here doing this, it's like that, you know what I mean? Which you guys, I don't even know if the camera will pick it up, but tomorrow we'll get the resonator pipes installed. But it's too late in the day for me to care about doing that now. So I hit the max allowable limit on the camera to be recording. Stop. And yeah, so pretty much the suspension should be thicker, a little bit stiffer than it was, which it is, which is what I wanted. A little bit stiffer of a ride, nothing crazy, but also at the same time, nothing that's gonna scrape. And tomorrow we will get the resonators installed. So you guys will see a video on those. I'm just checking for any noises and making sure that, you know, it doesn't rub, scrape, bounce, whatever. It seems like it's good. Seems like we did all right.